Hey Weebs, welcome back. Vinland Saga is outstanding amongst other late anime. The arrival of Vinland Saga took the world by a tempest. The vengeance story comes directly from Wit Studio, the gathering behind Attack on Titan. There's nothing to hate in this show. It's effectively outstanding amongst other show there. Here are some comparable shows worth looking for fans of Wit Studio. Berserk Gutz, a previous hired fighter presently known as the Black Swordsman, is out for retribution. After a turbulent adolescence, he at long last discovers somebody he regards and accepts he can trust, possibly to have everything self-destruct when this individual removes everything essential to Gutz to satisfy his own cravings. Presently set apart for death, Gutz becomes sentenced to a destiny where he is steadily sought after by demonic creatures. Setting out on an unpleasant mission filled with adversity, Gutz, furnished with a huge sword and tremendous strength, will allow nothing to stop him, not even passing itself, until he is at long last ready to take the top of the person who stripped him and his adored one of their mankind. Dororo, a samurai ruler, has dealt away his infant child's organs to 48 evil spirits in return for predominance on the combat zone. However, the unwanted baby endures because of a medication man who outfits him with crude prosthetics, deadly ones with which the violated child will use to chase down the huge number of devils to recover his body, each piece in turn, prior to going up against his dad. On his excursions, the youthful legend experiences a vagrant who professes to be the best cheat in Japan. The heroic legends of Arslan. In the prosperous kingdom of Pars lies the royal capital of Ecbatana, a city of magnificence and miracle, controlled by the undefeated and fearsome King Andragoras. Arslan is the youthful and inquisitive ruler of Pars who, notwithstanding his earnest attempts, doesn't appear to have the stuff to be a legitimate lord like his dad. At 14 years old, Arslan goes to his first fight and loses everything as the blood-doused fog of war offers approach to searing flares, carrying him to confront the end of his once magnificent kingdom. Notwithstanding, it is Arslan's fate to be a ruler, and regardless of the preliminaries that face him, he should now leave on an excursion to recover his fallen kingdom. To your eternity. An orb, referred to just as it, is cast to earth to be seen from a remote place. Equipped for changing structures from creatures whose reflections it catches, it initially turns into a stone and afterward, because of the rising temperature, greenery. It is incompetent of development until one blanket a day, a wolf hanging on by a thread scarcely crosses by. At the point when it takes the creature's structure, it achieves attention to its cognizance and begins to meander in view of a muddled objective. Before long, it runs over the wolf's lord, a little fellow, trusting that his clan will get back from a heaven bountiful with fish and organic product in the south. Albeit the kid is desolate, he actually trusts those whom he holds dear, and his recollections have not failed to remember him and that he will rejoin with them one day. The kid needs to investigate new environmental factors and chooses to forsake his home with it to discover the heaven utilizing the follows his clan abandoned. Be that as it may, with an intensely harmed body and no sight of a senior confidants, what will happen to the kid? Kingdom. China's warring states period, a furious mythical beast that would wreck the land for a very long time, saw numerous kingdoms rise and fall, clearing a path for the up-and-coming age of lords and officers to battle for incomparability. At last, 7 incredible states rose up out of the perpetual pattern of fighting. In the kingdom of Qin, LeeZinn, a conflict-stranded slave, prepares energetically with individual slave and dearest companion, Piao, who shares his pleased dream of one day turning into a great general of the heavens. Nonetheless, the two are abruptly compelled to head out in different directions when Piao is enrolled to work in the imperial royal residence by a retainer of the king. Golden Kamui. In mid-1900s Hokkaido, after the Russo-Japanese conflict, Seiichi Sugimoto vigorously prospects. Nicknamed Sugimoto the Immortal for his outrageous demonstrations in fight, the ex-officer looks for fortune to satisfy a guarantee made to his closest companion before he was killed in real life, to help his family, particularly his widow who needs treatment abroad for her weakening visual perception. At some point, A plastered buddy reveals to Sugimoto the story of a man gathering of Ainu and took a fortune in gold. Prior to his capture by the police, he concealed the gold someplace in Hokkaido. The lone hint to its area is the coded map he inked on the assemblages of his fellow prisoners in return for a portion of the fortune, should they figure out how to get away and discover it. Sugimoto doesn't appreciate the story until he finds the plastered man's cadaver bearing similar tattoos depicted in the story. Be that as it may, before he can gather his contemplations, a wild bear, the reason for the man's end, approaches Sugimoto, aim on completing her dinner. He is saved by a youthful Ainu young lady named Ezerpa, whose father turned out to be one of the killed Ainu. With Ezerpa's chasing abilities and Sugimoto's endurance senses, the pair consent to unite and track down the secret fortune won to get back what was legitimately her kin's, those two satisfying his desire. Thank you for watching. For more awesome videos please subscribe to my channel. Until then, plus ultra.